Well, this is both a massive moment and probably the end of our European run this season with Distillery. You'll see why I'm saying that when you see the opposition and the manager we're up against. We're back for the second leg against English opposition in that one before a big game in the Irish Premiership title race. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 157 of this Build a Nation story, Lifting Spirits with me, Daniel. We are back today to face Unai Emery's Chelsea in the second leg of the Champions League last 16. We just about fell away at the end of a first leg which showed so much promise for so long, but away from home, I can't see any other outcome than a defeat. Not to mention the fact we've got extreme fixture congestion and have played 2 games in the 8 days between now and then. And then we've got 3 days later Coleraine, 3 days later Larne, and 3 days later Glentoran. 3 of the 4 sides closest to us in the Irish Premiership. It's certainly not an easy run of fixtures, and it might be a defining one as well. We are just 2 points ahead of Linfield going into this run of fixtures, who have won all of their games in hand apart from the one against us. And as a result, it's going to be very tricky for us now, because they've not got European football and they've not got the fixture congestion that we have. If you're looking forward to seeing how we get on though, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. We might even get our youth intake today, who knows. But let's start by having a look at the schedule and seeing what's been happening since you were last here, because you were with me as we beat Linfield in the League Cup final and Derry City to make history in the Champions League. It's generally been pretty good since then too, but we had one moment that has been quite decisive. We won 5-3 against Glentoran at home. It was Howard with 2, Griffiths the same, and Mark Scully with a late sealer as well. A 4-1 against Linfield, which of course was crucial. 3 for Scully and 1 for Vladimir. A big win at home to Ballymena by 5-0. 2 for Griffiths and Howard yet again, and 1 for Sean McGuckin as well. An 8-1 away at Portadown saw Howard get a hat-trick, as well as Elliott, Griffiths, Cower, McGuckin and Stow had 1 apiece. Then the Chelsea game, and it was so close to being brilliant. We went 1-0 up early thanks to Gavin Reid, who hardly ever scores. We went 2-1 up ahead due to Vladimir, and we fought so hard defensively. Jim Morrison played really well as well, but late on, they just had the superior fitness and, more importantly, the better bench. They brought 2 players on, 1 scored from the penalty spot, and then a late winner put us to the sword. We are now 3-2 down going into the away leg. If we'd been 2-1 up, you never know on the night. Against St Mirren on the Thursday night, it was arguably a bigger problem. Not the fact that we got through, but the fact it went to extra time. Only 3 subs allowed in that competition. And with the Saturday game we had against Banbridge, we've had to play, well, a very weak team at times on Saturday and involve a few more first teamers than we'd like. Jordan Howard did get the winner to keep us on course for that trophy though. And then we won 5-2 in the Irish Cup quarter-final. Ryan Miller and David Quinn, both forgotten men in the reserves. Jake Irwin from the under-18s, all of those came in. Connor O'Neill, who was a youth prospect, 4, 5, 6 years into this save? He's now a nobody in the reserves and he managed to get an appearance as well. Crucially, we did get the win though. Morgan Griffith scored, playing as a right back from the penalty spot. Yes, that's how short of defenders we were. Jordan Howard got to himself, and then Ryan Miller off the bench. Still a decent player at this level, to be fair to him. He's an Irish Premiership striker, but he's going to be going this summer, and he got 2 goals for us as well. So well done to him. Let's get into the Chelsea game though, before a horrid run of fixtures. Basically, bar the Warren Point doubleheader, who have had a poor year. We have got a run of games against all top half teams, Livingston in the cup final, and then Larne in another Irish Cup semi-final. So it is not a good run of games at all. Livingston are top of the Championship, so we are going to get a pretty big test in that final. Raphael Vicky's in charge, a former Swiss international, the name I remember from my childhood too. So there's lots of interest and intrigue around here, but let's go and get into the Chelsea game. It is almost certainly our final game in Europe this year, but because of what we've done, and because of Linfield getting through as well, it's not been too bad on our coefficient, and that is something that at this stage of the save, we do have to worry about. We look at the Nation Club coefficients this year, 7.8 for Northern Ireland. Not our best season at all, but at the moment, enough to keep us above Croatia and enough to keep us above, well, some of those other nations that are just up there too. We're getting rid of our last really poor year now as a nation when it comes to our coefficient. So next season, with 5 teams in Europe, we have got to start progressing, because if we don't, we're in trouble. The good news is we're going to go up from 14th place to probably around 12th, maybe even 11th if we're lucky. While that doesn't have any impact really on us at all, which it doesn't matter particularly if it does or not, what you do see when you get to that position is that the other teams that come in around later when it comes to the Europa League. Now, if we can get a team in the Europa League playoff in 11th place, and if we can get an extra team in the third qualifying round of the Europa Conference League, we can then finally start to look at getting 3 or 4 teams consistently in the group stages every year. And that obviously boosts the financial coffers for all of those guys. Not to mention the fact that the league prize money is really increasing all the time here. I'm not quite sure where it's at this year. It is 280 grand for the winners, which will be us, but almost 200 grand for the backups, and then even down to the side relegated, they're picking up 3 times the money the winners did at the start of this save. So we are starting to see that progression. Even things like the Steel and Sons Cup, which the third tier teams and the reserve sides play in, the winner's getting 170 grand now, which never happened before. So really, really good progress, but we need other teams to be consistent. This is probably going to be the end of our spell and our run, but we're going to enjoy the night anyway. We're off to Stamford Bridge. It's all but sold out. And now, if we go through our 11, it is about as strong as it can be. Now, we've got loads of players who are 1 yellow from a suspension, but it doesn't really matter, does it? We've also got Johnny Merrival-Austin, who's not that fit, but we've had 3 games in 8 days since the Chelsea game. We've got to manage the squad well. We play loads of youth players at the weekend to keep everyone as fit as possible. And as a result, this is the 11 we've got. Jim Morrison will start in goal. I feel it's only fair. He's played in Europe all year. He's been a big part of our success. Morgan Hassin has been really involved since he's come in, but it's not fair for him to play this game. Reed and Stow are the fullbacks with Davis and Bird as centre-half. Bayavang and Gash the midfield too, as Bayavang finally ends his unhappiness. Cowan and Vladimir on the wings, Merrival-Austin in a number 10 role. And then it's Mark Scully up front. 61 goals this season, but not been that great in recent weeks. And not been that fit either, to be fair. Vladimir is going to be off this summer, so it's his last European game for Distillery. Well, let's see if he can go out with a bang. Into the game at Chelsea we go, and we have got to show just how good we are, which at home we did for a large spell. They've got some very good players, including Shanahan up front. Who was the man who scored off the bench last week? Serda. We'll keep an eye out for him as well. I don't think they've got any originals left. I think they've done the full switch around now. They're doing the real life approach of regenerating their team every 2 or 3 years. So we're going to ask the lads to impress us, most motivated, inspired or whatever. So let's drop to balance, let's stay in this game, and hopefully we can make it a decent day. I just want to avoid getting battered. Well, almost 40 minutes on the clock, and I don't want to speak too soon because the stats suggest Chelsea are dominant and it is probably a matter of time. But we have held our own in this game. We've not had any highlights, we've not had any shots on our goal, and it's still 0-0, which means technically we are still in this tie. So Chelsea have got a big ball over the top here towards Shanahan. Bayavang does well with it and Gash switches the play. I'd just love to have the moment where we score a goal and get it back to 3-3, just to hear the nerves in the stadium. That's all I want. I know we're not going to get through, but just give us that moment as Davis plays back to Morrison. This is one of those worryingly long highlights now, as Bird plays over the top towards Vladimir, the one genuine Premier League quality player we've got in this team. He's a top player. Oh, until the finish. Did the fullback and the centre-half inside out before putting it over the bar. The Liverpool scouts will be watching that and saying, yes, son, you're going to be trouble in the Premier League. A few of you in the comments suggesting they might loan list him. Let's hope that's the case. I don't think we'd afford his wages either way. Let's get through the dressing room and into the second half. We're going to keep it up. We're playing really decently. And despite all the Chelsea dominance, we've had the best chance of the game. And with 10 minutes gone in the second half, it's a corner kick for Chelsea, which Morrison does really well with. He's still been our best player on the pitch, despite us not seeing any saves from him. He plays a big ball over the top towards Scully, who's not there. The 6'8" man needs to be up for those headers, or we've got no chance. Oh, it's good defending from Davis and Bayavang. Back to Miles Stout, who punts it long towards nobody. Mendes has time to bring it down. Saidi gets it in the middle, wide to La Fuente. Lovely turn on the left and plays down the line. Gets the chance to cross. There's 4 in the middle. Saidi's one on the edge, in towards the back post. And the header, thankfully, is over the bar. We probably should have been put to the sword there. We gave away a decent chance. and Chelsea are the dominant force, but they're not scoring a goal, and it gives us half a chance late on. We did see in the first leg, we faded drastically towards the end, and the fitness may be an issue as Gunsted's over there. 65 on the clock. We're going to go for changes. Kyle Carp will come on at left back for Stow, who has struggled. We've got Cowan on the right, been really poor in recent weeks. Paul Elliott will come on for him. We've got the same issue with Vladimir on the left, who's nervous, so I'm going to bring on Big Missalidis. And then I'm looking where else we can make changes. We've got Dunn and Lonsdale, who are good players, and Miraval Austin is nowhere near fit. So Damien Dunn on for him. We'll save the last one 10 more. I do not want to end this game with 10 men. There's a free kick for Chelsea. It's starting to look a bit ominous for us there. Great save by Morrison, off the line by Reed. Oh, we're living dangerously. Now, just give us one chance to nick back into this game. We had one with Vladimir in the first half. Are we going to get one more? That's the question. We've got a few players who are struggling up there, and one of them is Mark Scully up front. Now, Howard is a very different type of player, but he's the informed striker, and as a result, I'm going to go for it. Mark Scully is off. Jordan Howard is up front. Let's just hope for one moment, and an informed striker could be all we need there. Gash is running out of legs, and again, we're just running out of that physical side of the game. Reed is knackered now as well. Is it going to be costly? In truth, bar that Vladimir chance, we have not looked like scoring all game. But if we can get a 0-0 away at Chelsea in a 3-2 aggregate defeat, I mean, it shows how costly those late goals were in the first leg. But that, as a single result, is about the best we've done in this save. A 0-0 away at Chelsea. I can't think of a better away European result than that. It's a very good effort. We do ultimately go out the Champions League. It's in vain. But does it improve the coefficient getting a result on the night? That's the question I want the answer to. We get another 8 million into the bank. And yes, Morrison was the man of the match with the most saves. But a very good effort in the Champions League. And we'll be back in 3 days for our big league fixture to have a coefficient update. We're back almost instantly for the Coleraine match, as we only have the 2 days off in between each game at the minute. Linfield have won at the weekend to go back to the top of the league, albeit with a game extra played. And we did get 0.2 on our coefficient as a nation, and of course nearly a whole point on ours. But let's have a look at the opposition instructions. They are playing Raul Bellanova again. The international from Italy is at right back this time. They've got Johnny Burns in, who's a star of our national team and better than most of our midfielders. Say Kirk up front, tipping in behind. It's a good side with Harley Jones returning to centre half. Let's have a look at who's fit then, because this is where this becomes quite tricky. We've now got 3 very tough games in a week, and in an ideal world, I would play first team reserves, first team. But are there going to be 1 or 2 players who don't make it from the game the other night? That's the big question. Jim Morrison played brilliantly, so I'm going to leave him in this time. Morgan Hassan will have to make do. He's going to be playing for us with Northern Ireland in a week or so, and I'll get him some football during the week. The rest of the squad, though, looks like it's relatively fit and that it's held up quite well. So I think all we're going to do is adjust the bench, and then we'll try and get into it. Back in a moment when we've done that. Well, no time for messing around. There are 5 changes for Coleraine. We have made none. And we are going as strong as we can now. This can have a knock-on effect when it comes to performance. We've seen that before. Sometimes the fitness is a big problem. Sometimes it's having the backup team in. So we'll see how it works out. Harley Jones does not start as was expected. And Jamie McDonald drops out as well. Tamindo Puarte not in the squad. So we have got our strongest 11, our strongest bench. We've just got to go for it. We've been in a good run. Go out there and impress me. You've just drawn at Stamford Bridge. Do not slip up against Coleraine. We're 17 on the clock, and we've got a corner kick with Vladimir, headed away as far as Bayavang, into Jordan Gash on the edge of the box, and back to Miles Stow, who hits it too strong for Dylan Berry in goal, who must be getting into his early 30s now. It's a good goal from the left back. It's a crucial one too. I saw in one of the match preview screens that Coleraine lost 5 in a row in all competitions, which must be their worst run for a good 2 or 3 years. They've been a very strong side. They've got 2 of our current Northern Ireland squad. And they've got a lot of players who we've had whilst winning a league or being a close second. So I know they're playing a slightly unusual tactic. They have no width at all. I would find it weird if they then finish 5th like they are at the moment on course to. And it would be a big problem for our coefficient if it's different sides in Europe each year. As Gash gives the ball away to Hamilton. Here come Coleraine bringing it clear, but Gash is working hard to win it back. Doesn't do so though, and it's a big ball down the line which Bird deals with. And he plays it back to his goalkeeper Morrison. Out to the left to Stow, the current goal scorer and match winner, who brings it down the left towards Vladimir. He's making a run, he's got to find him. Stow turns back instead to Bayavang. Cuts inside and looks for Jordan Gash. Through ball towards Cowan, who's one-on-one. Lays it across to Miraval Austin. It's so unselfish and it's so pinpoint. And we're now 2-0 up at Coleraine. 25 gone. They're in awful form. But to be fair, we're taking advantage. This title race, like last year, is going all the way to the final couple of games. Linfield are doing a brilliant job of it. But we have just got too much at the minute. As Kenny gets it on the edge of the box for Coleraine. Back to Jenkins Davis. Good curling effort. Just wide of the post, but did briefly have Morrison worried. And we're 10 to half time. They still haven't had a shot on target. And set pieces are looking a big threat for us as Bird loses out this time at the back post. Away as far as Bayavang, who recycles for Reed. Options in front of him, but instead just darts wide to Bird. And he has support either side. Reed is there. Great ball in. Mark Scully over the keeper. That's a big goal, or is it? The offside flag is up. Mark Scully just can't catch a break at the moment. For a man who's got over 60 goals this year, he really is struggling a bit for confidence. At half-time, though, the team is not, and that is the crucial thing. We're into 2 minutes added on, and it looks like we're going to be 2-0 up. This time, Bellanova has not got himself in trouble. He's looking quite tidy at right back, in fact. Big ball over the top from Devlin to Kirk, which Bird does well with. Miraval Austin wide to Reed. He's got support down the line from Cowan. Play short to him. We've got to think for this squad, and I know a few of you have criticised it in the comments, and we'll talk about why it hasn't happened in the end-of-year review. But for the likes of Cowan and a few others, maybe Jordan Gash too, could be the end of the road this season. We've got to enjoy these legends while they're here, because we're making a big upgrade in the summer. As Cowan gets down the right, back to Reed, who's got support in front of him. Reed carries it, takes a big ball into Scully. Bellanova heads away as far as Stow. Who can he find? Goes back to Bayavang. Referee trying his best to get in the way. Davis plays down the line again. Stow to Bayavang. Options making a run. Scully's one of them. Header over the keeper. And this time he won't be denied. Not been a convincing half really from Dylan Berry. But Mark Scully gets the goal. Out comes the slingshot celebration. And crucially, he's ended that mini goal drought. 3-0 Distillery. We're going back to the top of the league. And Linfield, well, they're going to have to beat us when we face each other, because at the moment we don't look like tripping up as Cowan forces a good save from Berry. We nearly make it 4, but soon we should be able to start resting people. Miraval Austin will be one of those. We cannot afford another injury. But this has been plain sailing, let's be honest about it. We've shown our quality against Chelsea, defensively that is, and now we're showing our quality going forward as tired legs are starting to prevail. Big ball into Cowan at the back stick, well saved by Berry again. We've got Gash and Vladimir who are struggling. Miraval Austin we've got to protect. Davis on a booking as well. So we're probably going to see those 4 changes any minute. Let's see out this highlight though, as Reed finds Bird. Don't want to make them too early, because of course we've got to get people fit for midweek as well. And if we bring the subs on too early, then they'll be knackered too. As Reed carries it down the right again. Miraval Austin makes the run. 2 in the middle. Scully's one. He's well and truly back in the goals now. Let's get those changes on. We're going to replace Gash with Rowan Lonsdale. Vladimir will be replaced by Misselidis. Freeman on for Reed. Bird will be replaced because Trevor Davis is fitter than him. So Duncan McKenzie on there. I could do both centre-halves, couldn't I? And in fact I will. We'll put Stow in at left centre-half. We'll take off Trevor Davis and we'll bring on Kyle Carr. We have made the changes we need to now. Something's gone very wrong there and I'm not sure which. Let's just undo that a minute, because something has gone awry. Davis off for Kyle Carr. That's more like what we wanted. Let's see how we get on for the last half an hour. Freeman getting another run out in a big Irish Premiership game. And that boy is developing quick, as it's straight from the kick-off for Coleraine, who are playing out from the back with Devlin. Big ball up towards Kirk, but he's not got the aerial threat. And Lonsdale can bring it away to Misselidis, the sub. The fresh legs now could play havoc into Scully for a hat-trick. From the kick-off of his last goal, Mark Scully ends it in style. A perfect hat-trick from Scully. 64 goals for the season. And 5-0 with Carr on the pitch taking the corner. Headed away as far as Scully. Into Miraval Austin. He's going to do the 90 this time. I'm trusting him to get through the game. And it's been a brilliant performance against a team lacking in confidence. Coleraine, thankfully, have got 2 or 3 coming in the summer. If they don't have that European money again, they're going to be in trouble, as Mackenzie does well to head away the corner. As far as Jenkins-Davis into the box and blazes his shot over. It's really poor work. 20 minutes remaining, but a shot on target at last. 15 minutes to hold on. Freeman with a throw on the right to Maraval Austin. Back to Matthew Freeman and Mackenzie again. Options inside. Plays out to Freeman. Down the line to Lonsdale, who turns on the ball. Still having a very good first season, but dropped off from his initial brilliance as that one's given away to Scully. Beats his former teammate Harley Jones. And the shot's over the bar. He's got his 3 now. Think we're being greedy if we want more. Though 10 minutes remaining and more is what the highlights are offering as Biovan goes back to Mackenzie. Big ball down the right towards Cowan. Incidentally, that's going to be a second yellow card. I was going to say, incidentally, we haven't had our youth intake yet. Hopefully the poor intake means 1 superstar and loads of rubbish players rather than just 10 average ones. If we can get another Matthew Freeman each year, get 3 or 4 in that team by the end of the save, it really would be special. As Lonsdale gives the ball away. McConnell brings it downfield. Remember when we tried to sign him 4 or 5 years ago? Lonsdale wins it back, no mercy from him. And Missalidis finds Biovan. Good 1-2 into Mark Scully. Is he onside? You bet he is. 6-0, 4 for the season. 4 for the season, 4 for the game. 65 for the season. Mark Scully is having a great year, but will he beat his total of 2 years ago? Into stoppage time, just 2 minutes added on. I think the ref's taking a bit of pity there. It's a 6-0 victory away at Coleraine. Really worried from a nation point of view about what's happening to them. But for us, it's been a brilliant performance. A very good episode in truth. We're getting closer to those top sides in Europe. And us and Linfield are getting further away from anything else in this division. 10 matches, 1 in a row now domestically, and lots of goals scored against some poor opposition, in fact. But let's go and have a look at when we're next going to be here. Now, we're either going to do the SPFL final and Larne in the Irish Cup semi, but will depend where Linfield falls after the league split. If it's the first game, I'll show that instead because it's going to be the crucial one in the title race. If not, we'll leave it. We'll come back for those 2, and then we'll show the end of the season because I want to get through as much as possible. Livingston, the best side in the Scottish Championship, is one of the best tests we're going to get now. And if you have a look at some of their star players and their bigger earners, they are people who are very competitive at this level. You've got a German under-21 international of the past there who scored goals galore at various levels. He's a really good player, and the only reason he's not recommended for us is because he can't get a work permit. So we are talking about very good footballers, and oh my god, one familiar name in Dylan McLean. Does anyone remember him? He was the left back, the first proper star we had all the way back in the 3rd season. We weren't even in the top tier when he was there. He was the first player we sold for a fee to TNS. And he's gone on to play for Livingston for years. And he's still very good mentally and physically. But technically, he's not got any better in the tackle. Oh, that's going to be a lovely moment. We've got to show that now. The first player we sold for a fee all those years ago. He'll be up against us in a good cup final. That's going to be part of the next episode. The second game will depend on when we face Linfield. If you're looking forward to it and you did enjoy this one, probably our best single result away at Chelsea. And please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comments if you think there's been any better away results in our time. And do you think we're going to win the league? I'd imagine so, because Linfield do seem to slip up towards the end. But we've had these years before and we've thrown it away. So hopefully this won't be one of them. Fingers crossed we're making progress in Europe. Next year is going to be huge as we move into the realms where we get extra teams in European qualification and at a later stage as well. So if you want to stay up to date and see how that progresses, whether the summer window gets any bigger in Northern Ireland, and whether the league and the club reputation increases again, and do subscribe and turn that notification bell on. You won't miss a thing if you do so. A shout out to HelloFresh who have partnered with us throughout August, and thank you to you guys for watching as always. Let me know in the comments if you think we'll reach the top, and I'll see you back here next time as we edge closer to finding out.